young couples, they come for counseling, and the first thing we tell them, joint accounts.
Because sometimes a lot of people have actual problems and they go the religious way.
Yes.
You need the services of a professional counselor, and you're going to a spiritual counselor.
Yes. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same at all. It's not the same. And actually, most people don't really know this. Most people don't know this. Most of the time, they say somebody is a marriage counselor in the church. And then you take matters to that person. That person will not be realistic. Can never be realistic. That is
reality of your marriage.
And this
except from the lens of religion.
Yes. And this is that.
I will tell you, I'm sorry to butt in, I will tell you, before you go into any marriage, I think who you should be visiting is professional counselors.
Yes, marriage counselors, not a church marriage counselor.
Moji, we don't come again, no? As usual. When would they land gidigba?
Now person will say make we no come. Now we no go meet when we land.
Yes, so we don't land.
Yes, so.
Today's episode now, wow. Welcome to another episode of Insight with Agatha, where you share your problems with Auntie Agatha. Today's episode is another tough one. And Moji.
It is well, that's all we will say, as they say in Ibadan. Sorry, Ibadan people, I love you.
You not say that Ibadan. Yeah, you nice dance so. Come on yourself.
But you know, this issue on ground is something that we expect every person, whether both male and female, to listen to. We're going to have a legal luminary, an advocate, and a great lawyer on the program. Stay tuned.
My name remains Auntie Agatha.
And I am Moji, Alaiya. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Today's topic has to do with joint accounts and property. So we have a very special guest here on the program. I will leave Moji to introduce her, who will tackle the problem.
So you're welcome back. But before we introduce our special guest, you'll be amazed when you see her. Beautiful, intelligent, talented. Should I continue?
Continue.
Gorgeous. But let's talk about the problem. So this problem issue was sent to us by Chioma, and this is what she wrote. Is joint account a good idea? So I'll ask our audience too. Is joint account a good idea? This is our story. Dear Agatha, in view of the high rates of infidelity among married couples, is it safe for a couple to operate a joint account? The experiences of many couples on this issue aren't pleasant. My elder brother's experience prompted my query to you. He woke one morning to find himself homeless after discovering his wife has been having extra marital affairs, and that the two children she passed off as his belonged each to two different men she had affairs with.
You try.
You try. In addition, with the help of one of the men she is involved in, she was able to sell off their house. Boss, what do you do? What woman they sell off your house? Sorry. Sell off the house using the documents of their joint accounts without the knowledge of her husband. Anyway, the lawyer will be able to tell us who was on official assignment in Ghana when the sales was made. He came home to nothing. Many married couples who have joint accounts do not have good stories to tell. So what do you think, Agatha?
I'm going to throw the question to her. I'm not a lawyer. So You've not her name. You've not introduced her properly.
Yes. I want to settle. Pretty lady. I want to settle down. I want to settle because when I grow up, I want to be like her. That is why I want to settle down before. So with us today on this program, this episode of Insight with Agatha is the beautiful, talented, gorgeous, scintillating Olamide Onifade. She is a barrister.
Beauty and brain.
She's a barrister. She's a lawyer. She's a women advocate. She's a relationship expert. I should continue. I'm learning more. So welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Honored to be here.
Thank you. You're welcome. Before we start, we want to say we're sorry to have kept you waiting.
Absolutely fine.
Okay. Now, this question, we are throwing it back at you. Is it compulsory for couples to have joint accounts?
Okay. From the story.
Yeah.
I don't think the question should be about joint account. I think it should be about joint property. I think joint account is even the minutest part of,
Yes.
So, but of course, I'll treat the two together.
Thank you.
So, joint account, there are different kinds of joint account. There are ones, there's a kind of joint account that it can be and or. So, if you say Banke and Kayode Ajibola, right? It means that both parties have to sign before you can make withdrawals from that joint account. Now, there are other ones with rights of survivorship. So if you have that kind of that kind of bank account, if one party passes before the other, the surviving party will take the benefit of the whole account.
Okay.
So that's the one with rights of survivorship. Yeah. So there's one with as joint owners, which everything in it is divided into two, regardless of who brings what. So you need to understand as a couple the dynamics of your relationship before you go into any joint account. Now, joint account for me, in my personal view, it's a foreign concept, not a Nigerian concept.
Yeah.
In diaspora, their culture allows for it because men and women do 50-50. And of course, obligations in the home is 50-50. Childcare and everything is 50-50.
Yes.
There's no...
I don't like, should be the woman.
No. Everybody goes out to work. Everybody does, both parties do childcare, household chores. They both bring in the money.
It's 50.
So everything is 50-50. But here in Nigeria, Africa as a whole is very difficult for any party to do 50-50.
Yes.
So if a woman is doing, it's very difficult. It's very hard. Now, if you're putting in your money as a woman with your husband in a joint account, you need to understand that the dynamics of our society means that you will not have a 50-50 access to that money. Because in most cases, the guy would always want to assert himself. So you need to understand, is your husband the African man or is he the kind of westernized man? So I think before you dabble into that, you need to both sit down. There's some hard questions that you need to ask each other before you dabble into that. You hear joint account and you just want to do. And same goes for joint property. You need to be very sure of who both of you are, the end goal, what happens if one party dies. So for joint property too, there are two kinds of joint property you can do in Nigeria. So it's either you own the property as joint owners, or you own it as tenants in common. So if you own it as joint tenant, it means that regardless of how much you contribute into that property, if the husband contributes 99% and the wife contributes 1%, they are both co-owners and they have equal rights. If one party dies before the other, the entire property passes to the surviving spouse, regardless of their contribution. And you cannot put it in your will. You cannot pass it to your children. It belongs
to that spouse.
But if you intend to own it as tenants in common, then it depends on your share of the contribution.
Okay.
Now, how do the court or how do you
determine?
It depends on the words of severance in your deed of assignment.
Okay.
So if you are buying property with your spouse, you need to sit down with your lawyer and discuss the kind of tenancy, ownership rather, that you inquire. So it's very, very imperative that you state that. Now, if there's a deed of assignment that does not state the kind of
of the two,
by default, it's joint tenant.
Okay, by default.
So what that does is, for a couple, it has its advantages.
Okay.
It means that your husband's family cannot touch it if you're a woman. Your wife's family cannot touch it. Even children cannot touch it. Banks cannot touch it. Nothing. Nobody can touch it because it automatically belongs to you.
Please, so I would like to get it right.
And you don't have to go through probate. It doesn't go through probate. It doesn't. Automatically.
Sorry, I
have a question. What are the things? Let me just. So if the man and the woman actually did not agree on the type of ownership, so the default,
by default, it's joint tenancy.
Okay.
With right of survivorship.
Okay.
In a situation where the couple die together, maybe in an accident, who inherits such?
Then it can go to the children.
Okay.
Then in this case,
sorry, ma'am. If one dies, maybe like 2-3 minutes before the other, it goes to the last surviving person.
Okay.
So if they die, maybe they engaged them, they got into an accident together.
Okay.
The first party died on the spot, and the second party was able to make it to the hospital.
Okay.
It belongs to the heir of the second party that got to the hospital before dying.
That is a serious matter.
So we need to understand these things very well before we dabble into.
Yes. So if you're going into anything of this sort, you must make sure that you get a lawyer who knows his onions when it comes to real estate.
Because the hair may not even be maybe another person's child, maybe a child that she had from another. So the man would have just worked for someone else, somebody else's child.
Are there other ways we can go about this? But before you answer, we're going on a short break. Welcome back to Insight with Agatha. As we were saying before we went on the short break, are there other options to the ones you have outlined?
Legally, those are the two ways you can own property jointly with somebody else. But of course, if you don't want to go through that route, you can own properties separately as a couple. You don't have to own it together, but if you're going to own property together, those are the two ways.
Okay.
But tenancy in common gives you allowance to own the size of your contribution.
Okay.
So if your contribution is 60%,
that's how you get
60%. If it's 40%, it will reflect. Then you can also transfer it to your heirs.
Oh, you can transfer.
You can transfer.
Okay.
Yes. But there have to be a word of severance in your deed of assignment.
Okay.
You have to be very sure. So if there's anybody watching that have a co-property with somebody's, I think at this stage you should go to your deed of assignment and go and check it. And be sure that the words in the deed of assignment actually reflect what your intention is.
Yes.
Because the moment one party dies, that's it.
So how does a woman in Africa protect herself?
Okay, I'm a family and a real estate lawyer. So a lot of men are always scared of me coming close to that. So this question is putting me on the spot. Now, women are getting wiser. Women are getting more educated. Women are making much more money. So if you're a woman who is making money, you should be in control of your finances. So, and now what I'm saying is to the exclusion of your spouse, but at least in conjunction. Don't leave everything totally. Don't leave your brain. Don't leave your heart. Use your brain. if you have the brain to make money, you should be able to have
brain to spend the money.
And then the same thing goes for men too, because like the question this lady talked about, it actually happened to her brother. The brother traveled, came back to nothing. The woman sold the house, and that was it. But can you give us insight into this particular situation? Is it
possible for the woman to sell off the property?
So when you were saying, it was a bit strange to me, but there should be an element of fraud in all of this. Now, if that property was owned jointly by the spouses, then their names should reflect on the deed of assignment. And any purchaser who takes on the property, knowing fully well that it belongs to two persons, has bought nothing.
So she can actually go to court.
Definitely.
And the man can go to court.
The man can go to court and set aside the sale. Okay. So whoever has bought nothing. So he might not have to go to the woman to get his money back. That's strictly between them.
Okay.
But of course, he has bought nothing.
Okay. But I also want to throw this in because, apart from this particular issue, I've had, the privilege of listening to somebody that something like this happened to, a bit similar. And she's still in that dilemma now. This is somebody that she was working in a bank, and then at the end of the day, everything, the house they were living in, the guy sold it, the husband sold it, the cash that she bought, in fact, everything. The house she was building, he sold it. So now she was left with nothing. And to make matters worse, of course, the banking sector is not a very stable place to work in. You can wake up tomorrow and somebody will say, okay, so of course it happened to her. And then she's now left without that job that was giving her that money, and then without her property. So what do you think she can do?
To seek redress.
I don't know if she can seek redress if she's still in the marriage. One thing I tell women is that the truth is that in every marriage, there has to be submission. A woman must submit to the husband.
Okay.
Where the problem is the kind of man you're
submitting to.
So as a woman from inception, you must ensure that you're marrying a man that has the capacity
to
command your submission. So if you go into a marriage you have to submit. So unfortunately, she's with a man who, I don't know how they got around that. But
they dress in the church.
I don't want to go into that church.
But you will, because church is now, are now mandating
some churches doing counseling.
Okay, so before I answer that question, what the man has done to that woman is financial abuse.
Yes.
And it's a form of domestic abuse.
Wow. So there's something called financial abuse.
Definitely. Economic abuse, financial abuse.
Wow. I never thought there was anything like that.
Absolutely. And it's a form of domestic violence.
Wow.
Okay. So
you can't help her until she wants to help herself.
But at times, because she's somebody that is close to me, the dilemma that some of these women they are in is that, you want to take, Yoruba people now, or something like. You want to take the father of the children to court. You want to take the father of the children to court, and because of that, the woman will say, okay, because they will come and tell you it is. I've seen such cases.
Like she said, any woman that does not want to be helped cannot be helped.
It's not. Sorry, I disagree with you. It's not as if the woman does not want to be helped. So it is because of the society.
She doesn't want to be helped.
No, it is not that she doesn't want to be helped.
So how do you help somebody?
It's the society. I think what such a woman we need first is that counseling. Counseling that, look, you're not doing anything wrong if you're going after what is yours.
Rightfully yours in the marriage.
In the marriage. That you've done nothing wrong. Because this
you see, many a time you tell them that this is wrong. And you still see women falling into that trap. In this instance, because she's somebody both of us are very, very close to, she has let go. How do you help that person?
I can't help her because she's not seeking for help.
Yes.
So there's nothing you can do.
So if the society she's deferring to the society, there's nothing anybody can do. So my question.
But with advocacy, what I think you can do is to help her with information.
Okay.
Okay.
You're right.
We'll just refer her to this program.
Yes. I think that's what we'll just do. Yes.
So,
yes.
The church angle. What do you have to say? Young couples, they come for counseling, and the first thing we tell them, joint accounts.
Well, it's for the court to say. It's for the couples to know if it applies to them.
Yes.
So a court cannot mandate what will happen
Or a church.
Every marriage is unique.
Yes.
There are no two
marriages alike.
So it's for the court to advise. I can say that is merely advisory.
The church, you mean?
You don't have to take it if it would not help your marriage. So you need to know who your partner is. You need to know the dynamics of your marriage if it's going to apply. For some women, they don't, they can't
think.
No, not even think. Some women are alpha males.
Alpha females, yes.
You know, so
you find it difficult to submit.
So if you are going into that kind of a marriage and you want to do things jointly with your husband, of course, from the word go, marriage is not
a disaster that's waiting to happen.
But I am pro for the fact that we're going into a marriage doesn't mean I should lose my existence. If it's not working for me, if I don't think I want to do it, I will not do it.
Can such agreements be terminated before its expiring date?
What kind of agreement?
Any agreement you enter is
it joint?
Definitely, during the lifetime of both partners, of the spouses, they can choose to change the kind of tenancy. But both of them must be alive to effect that change.
Okay.
One person cannot take the decision.
It has to be a joint decision.
And if one person wants to opt out and the other person is saying no, is there anything that
there are two ways.
Okay.
There are two ways. It's either, in most cases, you buy out the other party.
Party that is willing to.
It means that there is no union anymore. If you are doing something jointly, there has to be unity. So the moment...
No, they're still together. I'm looking at it now, they're still together. But just like the woman says or the guy says, no, this thing that we're doing, I don't want this joint agreement anymore, that we are buying properties together. I don't want it anymore.
Want to buy out the other?
What if he's not willing to sell? What if the other is only one person that is not interested in continuing with it? You understand what we're trying to say?
Okay, we have a joint account.
Yes.
Or we bought a joint property under the joint tenancy.
Yes. And one party says,
I'm tired. I don't want to continue.
I want to
for so and so.
And then if both of them cannot decide, they have to go to court.
Okay.
Or get a mediator.
Okay.
I would advise a mediator in that regard.
Yeah.
Because the marriage is not fractured.
Yes.
It's not fractured.
Just on the basis of that purpose.
Yes.
They shall be approaching them. And please, not a Christian mediator or counselor. A professional.
Yeah.
Because sometimes a lot of people have actual problems and they go the religious way.
Yes.
You need the services of a professional counselor. And you're going to a spiritual counselor.
Yes. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same at all. It's not the same. And actually, most people don't really know this. Most people don't know this. Most of the time, they say somebody is a marriage counselor in the church. And then you take matters to that person. That person not be realistic. Can never be realistic. That is
reality of your marriage.
And this
except from the lens of religion.
Yes. And this is that
I will tell you, I'm sorry to butt in, I will tell you, before you go into any marriage, I think who you should be visiting is professional counselors.
Yes, marriage counselors, not church marriage counselor. Yeah.
At least to understand if both of you should go into this marriage in the first place.
Yes.
If you now cross that hurdle, then you might go to the next level of seeking the spiritual support for your marriage by seeking the spiritual counselor.
Yeah. Because most times, people, like, I was listening to a program when a woman came in. It was like a church program. A woman, there were like a conference, and one woman raised her hand and said, my husband, she doesn't know, my husband will beat me at any provocation. Because she just kept on and kept on. Well, it was just domestic, just beating her. I don't want to mention the woman's name. She's a popular preacher. When she wanted to answer, she said, Hey, you see, you women, we women, our mouth is so sharp.
I think I watched the clip.
Yes. I was so disgusted. I was like, is that what should make a man to raise his hands on a woman?
Well,
beat her repeatedly.
But you need to understand that the church values is different from
the reality.
That is it.
So you can't fault her. She's seeing it from the lens of the religion.
And from the letter written by Chioma, she said this woman went as far as selling the house with the assistance of one of the men she dated. Now, I know you don't like to be called barrister, but I'll still call you barrister anyway. You said the man can go to court. Will that man also be, what do you call it in the law? In legal terms, will also be part of be a defendant? I think that's the word. In that case,
this is not a criminal matter. It's a civil matter.
Okay.
Right? So it's not about a crime. It's a civil action. Now, why will he be made a defendant? It depends. If he doesn't earn, if the outcome of that judgment does not directly affect him, then he's not going to be. What he has done is morally wrong.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But not
a crime.
This is a civil matter. Yes. So, and it depends on the evidence. How much evidence do you have to connect him to the sale of the property? If his name is not on the document, if he did not receive money, so why would he be in court?
Okay.
But morally, what he's done
is wrong. Then she also mentioned that the two kids that this woman had for her brother, they discovered that they're actually not his biological children. And now we're talking about the property gets back to him, if at all he goes to court and he gets the property back, who will we say will be his heir?
It's not of our business. I don't think it's any of our business.
Well, if it depends. Now,
taking into consideration, he took care of those kids.
Within the law, a woman, any child born within a valid and subsisting marriage belongs to the husband of the marriage until proven otherwise. Now, it now depends. If he still wants to see the children as his children, it's a choice.
Okay.
Or if the other father is claiming the children, if there's no
the other father,
can he claim?
The other fathers,
can any one of them claim?
Absolutely, if they can prove it scientifically. But in the absence of proving it, you have to take active steps to prove it by doing a DNA.
Okay.
In the absence of that, those children belong to the husband of that
marriage. Okay. So now this man is left with nothing, so to speak. No children. If at all, at the end of the day, scientifically it was proved that these are not his children. So what, apart from maybe going to court and everything, let me just say as a woman, and then as an advocate, what do you think the impact of all this will have on those children?
Okay, so for people who come to me for divorce, property and all of that, one thing that I, as a lawyer and woman, I will never tolerate in my practice is you telling me you want sole custody. I don't encourage it. Children they carry both DNAs of the parents.
Yeah.
So you need to understand that whatever decisions you make affect your children. I hear of ex-husband, ex-wife, I've never heard of
ex-children,
ex-father, ex-mother. What you're going through with your spouse is
between the two of you.
And should never extend to the children because you're doing psychological damage to the children, physical damage. People tell me, I hear that children from broken homes usually done this way and I strongly disagree.
I disagree.
And I say that it is children from highly contested conflicted environments.
Yes.
So there's nothing wrong. It's part of life. Divorce is a phenomenon. It's part of life. Anyway, people will come together and at one point or other, some marriages will fail. So that is the reality of life. However, you must do all what you can do to protect your children from that outcome.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. It's been
a pleasure.
pleasure having you here.
Same here.
Thank you for throwing more light into this. And I hope Chioma.
Chioma, you're listening. Or you're watching.
And that you can advise your brother actually to go to court to retrieve his property. And that women should learn to tailor their marriages to their own.
Both
Men and women should patent their marriages.
Yes.
To what works for them, not to what works for another person. And that any relationship you want to take further, please seek the advice of people who are really trained legally
to handle your situation.
And not just base everything on church emotions.
And the society. Because the same society that will condemn you today, tomorrow, when the outcome of whatever it is that you're going through that, because, so that they will not say, when it comes, they're the ones that will laugh at you tomorrow. So, don't base anything on what the society is saying or what anybody is saying. Just think of yourself and think of your children.
Thank you. I hope we summarized everything you.
Very, absolutely.
I would really love to have you here again because there are other issues when it concerns legal things.
Absolutely.
So we would really love to have you back.
We've come to the end of today's episode of Insight with Agatha. Please keep the letters coming. Like, subscribe and share.
Yes.
Thank you for allowing us to be part of your life.
Remember that a problem shared is a problem half solved. Thank you.